What's up everyone, Oracle Taiki here with my crystal ball, and today I want to tell you how I made $13,500 on Polymarket in just a couple of days. So I made 13.5K using two markets, so let's talk about them both. The first market was this bullish ETHBTC bet. So a few months ago, ETHBTC, so the price ratio between Ethereum to Bitcoin, was roughly around 0.02. And I think, a few months ago, people were super bearish ETH. And on this platform called Limitless, the probability of ETHBTC hitting between 0.04 and 0.05 was roughly around 1.9 cents or 1.9%. I thought that was way too underpriced, way too cheap. So I ended up buying 5,400 shares or contracts using $100, $102 or so. So now that I won this bet because BTC is at 0.041, I won $5,400. So that's a 54x on the money. And best of all, Limitless has a points program going on. So they raised a couple $1 million from reputable VCs. And right now there's a season 1 going on where if you use the platform, you get points. This points program for season 1 ends September 22nd, so you still have a couple weeks to do this. I think it's a good opportunity because, there's like no one I know that I'm like that's like farming this. The liquidity is like really bad, honestly. But like the minimum bet size to hit or to be eligible for points is $200. So it doesn't take that much. You can just like bet $200 on something trading at like 98% or so, right? So you don't insure, or you don't lose money, or you can be a DJ and like bet on like some like moonshot event, like I did here. But I think it's something worth checking out, and I'll put the link in the description to the platform. And like I said, they raised $4 million from some reputable VCs. So the second interesting market, this was more of like a quick cook, right? The ETHBTC bet took like 2 months, but this played out in a couple of days. So last week I made this video around like my big bets I'm making on Polymarket, and I highlighted this market where will MrBeast raise $40 million for clean water by August 31st? At the time of recording, these odds were roughly at 61%, and I think they were short by roughly like $6 or $7 million with a few days remaining. I thought this market was mispriced because typically if you study MrBeast's like previous campaigns, the majority of the money is raised at like the last couple of days, because MrBeast is in the game of creating good content, and it's not fun, right? If he raises $40 million in the first like 2 days or so, right? It's more fun when he's like, oh, it's like down to the wire, like can the community do it? And then he can make another video of like, oh my God, we did it, guys! With 12 hours remaining, we did it, right? So MrBeast, he's in the game of creating content. He's not going to do this charity challenge if he knows he can't raise like all this money. I thought it was a rigged market where the outcome was predetermined, right, to be at 100%, but the market was pricing at 60%. Like after I made the video, right, more donations came in, the shares, pumped like 95% or so, but they were still short of the money. So the day before this challenge was fulfilled, there was a tiny dip here, right, a small dip, and I took this opportunity. It's like, hey, like it's kind of like crypto prices, right? It's like whenever something pumps hard, right? People take profits, and we do see a dip, and I was buying that dip, and like obviously he did a live stream, he raised $40 million, he posts some videos, he gets a lot of engagement, so good business decision by him. So I actually aped a lot, so I think I was like top 10 holder of Yes shares, even though I got in like fairly late. So I bought 31,500 shares at 82 cents, so I spent 25.7K buying these shares. And now, of course, I held them till expiry because I just believed that he would do it. So that was a profit of $5,727 or so. Also there was another wallet I bought this at. I spent $3,500 buying this at 63.6 cents. So I made roughly $2,000 or so. And then in another wallet, I spent like my cost here was like not that great, but they were selling dollar bills for like 80-90 cents, right? So I just like took the free money, so I made $480 here. So in under a week, literally in under a week, I made $8,200-ish betting on this particular market. And on prediction markets, there's often these moments where there's like free money on the floor, and there's a lot of unsophisticated capital taking the other side. So you just like have to take those spots, right? So yeah, I'm up 13.5K this week on prediction markets. So I would take that as a win, right? And if there's like an airdrop in the future for Limitless or even Polymarket, then I'm printing future EV, right? Future expected value. And because I do feel kind of weird, right? It's like other people are donating money to this good cause, and I'm here profiting money from this MrBeast market. So I felt like weird about that. And I did promise that, once I make money on this market, I'm going to donate some money. So I donated $800, which is like roughly like 10% of these profits to Team Water. Allegedly, every dollar, is like a year of like water to, people in need. I'm not even sure if that makes sense, but hey, thank you, MrBeast, for the profits. So, hey, like I'll share some of the love. Yeah, there you go. So, I think, as I'm formulating theses on how to bet on prediction markets, you kind of have to like ask yourself these simple questions, right? Like, do you really think that MrBeast would create like this type of challenge, without like knowing that he's going to fulfill it? He has infinite levers to pull, and Polymarket traders were selling dollar bills for 60 to 80 cents, and I kind of view this as a rigged market. And how do I define a rigged market? I think a rigged market is markets/events. So events that are on Polymarket that have a predetermined outcome. We all should have known that MrBeast was gonna raise money. I'm not sure how he did it, right? I'm sure maybe he can sell like ad slots for his YouTube videos, for like some like product play, like whatever, right? And because of whatever reason, the traders on Polymarket, they don't really view it as a rigged market. They more so view it as, can this like random dude raise $40 million? And then they're like, yeah, there's no way he can do it. Not knowing the fact that this market was already rigged. So the past few trades that I've done, that I've made like a lot of money on, is just like me betting on the rigged outcome and just wait for the markets to reprice. And I also did this with another market. I made this video last week talking about like my big Polymarket bet. And this is like a really weird market, right? Like, can Lord Miles, some random British guy, complete a 40-day water fast in the desert? And I basically said that like this market is rigged. We already know the outcome. Lord Miles has complete control over the situation. So I'm just gonna like buy yes and like wait for me to profit. So I bought these shares at roughly 54 cents on this wallet. Like my average is like roughly 52 cents because I use other wallets because I'm like farming like volume and stuff. Right now it's at trading at 74%. So that seems like a pretty good bet. I'm not sure if I'll wait until like the 40-day period because, I don't want like a weird situation to like some guy like visits him and like, force feeds him or anything, right? So maybe I'll start taking some profits in the 70 to 80% range, maybe above 80%, because I just, there's still like 33% upside left in this market. So I don't want to like be flooded out and like sell, but also, right, I do need to manage risk. I am like a top holder for this market as well. So that's something I'm considering. But hey, like this was also a rigged market, right? So I think my strategy in the future is, of course, I'll make other bets, but I think betting on rigged markets is fairly easy if you're comfortable with the risks, right? Especially if you think like the predetermined outcome in these rigged markets. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me for like that section. But I do want to pivot because I think the most interesting and like fun part of Polymarket is the comment section. It's basically people that hold yes shares, no shares, and people that don't even have skin in the game, just arguing against one another. And the Lord Miles comment section is hilarious. But the Team Water, maybe this is true for all markets, but the Team Water comment section, right? It was like just ridiculous, right? Because there were so many people that held no shares for whatever reason, and they're just like crashing out publicly. And like Walrus Lagan, or this guy, he's like, hey, yeah, like these guys are selling dollar bills for 95 cents, and then guacamole.nc is like, eat a bag of dicks. Like it's basically just like this. But let's talk about like the second funniest thing. So there are like these two people, and typically I don't like to like gloat people's like losses and whatnot, but also, right, I just think it's kind of ridiculous because and I'll talk about like anyways, so like one of the main like bull thesis, or like one of the main like thesis for like no holders was that August 31st was a Sunday, right? And August 30th was a Saturday. So there's a lot of people in the comment section saying that like they're like buying all these no shares because banks are closed, right? And you can't donate money when the banks are closed. Like these people cannot be serious, right? I thought this was a copy pasta, but like no, like these people actually believed in like this thesis. Like banks are not open today, so let me buy no shares at like 20 cents. Like what even is that, right? So Jaden Animations, I looked at this guy's profile, and his description is I lost 30K in 10 days on crypto markets. His PNL is minus 20K. So like maybe he bought like some meme coins on like a Solana or something. And then, after, right, after his no shares went to zero, he kind of had like this, he's claiming that he's disputing the markets, because it jumped from like 39.9 million to 40.04 million, and like the last paragraph in the rules says it has to hit 40 million. It doesn't say 40 million or over, and 40 million never hit. So he thinks that it should resolve to no. I mean, come on, right? Like that just like, come on, right? Just use common sense here. And then so the trade chemicals guy, right? Who was like talking about how the banks are closed, was also like, oh, like fucking. So this was like after all his no shares went to zero. It's like biggest sack of shit market. Why couldn't he just let it run its natural course? Let the auctions end and some potential larger donations, not a desperate last hour's live stream. What a pile of steaming excrement, right? He's just like angry. He's like, oh my God. But like, guys, like just don't bet against rigged markets, or you don't even have to bet on these rigged markets, right? But hey, I mean, if there's money to be made, and if there's if you give degens a lot of money permissionlessly on blockchains, then yeah, they're gonna bet on these like crazy outcomes. So yeah, you can also filter. I'm not sure you can read this actually, so let me kind of go small screens. You can also filter with like the most amount of likes, like the comment section, and then like the number one liked comment was, just a thing I learned from Polymarket. I should find a decent job instead of trying to make money from gambling, sitting here all my time like an idiot. And then like the two people that commented are people that held no shares. I just thought that's kind of funny. But I mean, that's true, right? Like what am I doing here? I feel like the MrBeast market was like, like fairly simple, but like me betting on Lord Miles, like, yeah, like what am I doing here, right? I should actually reconsider my my life priorities. Queto, he was like the largest holder of Yes shares. So congrats to him, right? He made a bunch of money, and he's working for his bags, right? He just door dashed a MrBeast burger, and I even added fries and paid for priority delivery. So I guess he's trying to pump his own bags by giving MrBeast some money that way. And then also the last account I want to talk about is this one. So Jeffrey 1953, and his PFP is. His profile picture is Jeffrey Epstein and Diddy. So like I said, I don't like to like loss gloat, right? I feel like that's kind of like a dick move here. But if your PFP is, or if your name is Jeffrey Epstein and then your PFP has Jeff Epstein and Diddy, then I feel less bad, let's say. So yeah, he also lost a bunch of money here, 10K. And then he was like, yeah. I mean, I'm highlighting him because I was like kind of active, right? There's like. This guy was just so cocky, right? Every time Yes shares would go down like 10 cents, like he would just be spamming like, oh, like these fucking idiots, like, he would just be spamming this thing. And, so yeah, like these Yes holders have balls of steel. And then he saw my buy orders at like 82 cents. And he's like, yeah, I mean, you're wild, bro. Like, are you this guy? Like, I don't even know what he is. And like this guy, he was buying no shares at like 13 cents, 14 cents, 15 cents, 10 cents, 19 cents. So, I mean, he was like paying a decent price, right? For all of these things. And I think he had like 80,000 no shares, I think. So yeah, I think he spent $10,000 buying no shares, because he thought the banks were closed. And he's like, I ain't fucking selling. And then he ended up just like selling them all at like 2 cents, which I mean, at that point you probably should sell at 2 cents because I mean, just get something, right? Instead of like getting zeroed out. But yeah, it's yeah, there's like other stuff like, oh yeah, like we survived another hour, yeah, single digit, gonna be wild, good exit price. Yeah, he's just like glowing, and yeah, I mean, yeah, so many comments. So yeah, I encourage everyone to just go to like some random like social, like not like Ethereum price or anything, right? Like just go to like these markets around like, like Charity or like MrBeast, or like Lord Miles, right? And it's like go to the comment section, and it just, I mean, I think it's like a great way to, I mean, even here, like, let's filter by likes, right? I mean, yeah, I kind of share this already, but my family has become concerned about me after I told them I have been gambling on whether a fat Nazi can scam more crypto bros with his Middle East vacation. Anyways, last thing I want to share is like opportunities in prediction markets, because I mean, on one hand, like me talking about like my past bets, like maybe it's not that useful, maybe it's entertaining, but hey, at least I'm giving my thought process. But like, what are future opportunities, right? I think limitless obviously is one. I think it's good for the smaller. If you have a smaller wallet, I think you can like just create a bunch of wallets, like farm limitless, try not to lose money, and like collect points. That could be fruitful. But let's talk about other opportunities. I still think that there's a non-zero chance they airdrop. I'm not sure what the probabilities are. I also think that there's a chance in which they can, or like the main argument against Polymarket airdropping is that they're going to IPO, which I think is fairly reasonable. I also think there's a path in which they can IPO and do a token, where IPO would they go public, but also one of the main arguments against like using Polymarket is like the UMA Oracle, right? So their Polymarket right now is reliant on another Oracle project to basically resolve markets, and that's basically been like a lot. Or that's caused like a lot of like drama and whatnot. So I think the most rational and cleanest way for them to essentially just get rid of UMA is by just having a token. Maybe it doesn't really accrue like value from revenues or like profits. Like maybe like a small percentage of fees can go to the token, but like the main utility can be them like having the new Poly token be like the Oracle. Of course, in this scenario, the Polymarket token will have a lot less value than like the Polymarket equity, right, in the IPO. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think people are severely underestimating the real odds of a potential airdrop. So if you are interested in prediction markets, like you should just use things that could have a token, either Polymarket or Limitless, because Limitless actually explicitly said that they're going to do a token. So yeah, it just increases the EV of just being an activator as long as you have some form of an edge. And today, Polymarket, I'm in the Discord, and they kind of announced that they're starting to build parlays. So parlays is like big in sports betting, where you kind of bet on like 5 different markets, and then if you hit on all 5, then you get like some insane payout. Of course, I feel like that's like the reasonable next step for like prediction markets, to have parlays or like some sort of leverage or like a social component. So these things are coming. I think Kalshi is going to have these things as well, and I think over time prediction markets are going to get more integrated to society, such as sports betting. If this were to happen, of course, we should see value accrue to the prediction markets themselves, but also, the value should accrue to trading infrastructure. If you're aware of like Solana, right? A lot of Solana activity is meme coins, and a lot of people lose money, right? Like trading these things. But the companies that make the most money, right, are like literally like these trading bots, or like this trading infra, right? They pull hundreds of $1 million of fees in 2024, and people like just pay a ridiculous fee to these trading infrastructure tokens or like projects, because they just like they think they have an edge or something, right? So I do think that there are going to be opportunities in the liquid markets where teams are building like trading infra, like terminals or bots. So if you have any liquid token ideas, I'm happy to like just DM me, right? I'm happy to chat. I've been looking into them. Most of them are kind of trash, honestly. I think there's this adverse selection problem where all the quality like teams and projects building in prediction markets, they're not going to like randomly launch a token on Solana or Base, right? So any token that's live right now tends to be on average like lower quality. So yes, I do want prediction markets exposure in the liquid markets, but the problem is the good teams are not going to drop tokens yet, and the bad teams will all like launch tokens. So I mean, that being said, there could still be a lot of opportunities. So I think that's going to be like a really interesting place to look at. Another point I want to talk about is that, at some point there's going to be a crypto bear market, in my opinion. And if I'm thinking about allocating to a sector, that could do well in a bull or bear market, I think prediction markets can be interesting as well, because whether or not like people betting on MrBeast, like me betting on MrBeast, right, like this clean water, or like Jeffrey Epstein like trading from heaven or hell, like these things. Like in theory, these things should be bear market resistance, right? Like people betting on Taylor Swift or like politics or sports, those people are not really going to be trading less because crypto prices are lower, right? Maybe some like people, right, stop trading because they like lose money or anything. But in theory, right, this should be a more bear market resistant sector than other sectors like perps or dexes or lending or meme coin, so I do think that, if you believe in the future of prediction markets, it does make sense for us to at least consider allocating capital, right? Whether it be angel investing or like buying coins or even like trading on these platforms, not only to make money from capital gains, but also to develop skills and develop expertise. Because if you think, right, and if you agree with me that prediction markets are going to 10, 100x from here, anyone that has outsized knowledge in this field is going to reap the rewards in the future. So maybe right now is the time to understand these markets, make money in these markets, like humble gains here and there. But in the future, that's when the asymmetric payoffs will come. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Oracle Taiki signing off. Bye-bye.